the post-apocalyptic world of Chernobyl, where survival is a constant struggle, a lone helicopter pilot embarked on a routine flight in search of supplies. The pilot, Captain Alexei Sokolov, was a seasoned veteran, having navigated the treacherous skies countless times in search of resources for his small group of survivors. As the helicopter soared through the desolate landscape, Alexei's eyes scanned the horizon for any signs of life. Suddenly, a deafening explosion ripped through the air, and the helicopter shuddered violently. Alarms blared as Alexei fought to maintain control, but it was futile. The aircraft spiraled downward, its metal frame groaning in protest. Crashing through the thick foliage, the helicopter came to a jarring halt. Alexei's vision swam as he struggled to regain his bearings. The acrid smell of smoke filled the air, and he knew he had to act quickly. Despite his injuries, he managed to free himself from the wreckage and survey the damage. The helicopter was a mess, as some parts were damaged, but it could be fixed. That missile came from a nearby abandoned military base. This military base is nestled in the heart of a dense coniferous forest, its sprawling facilities concealed by the thick foliage. Surrounded by towering pine trees, the base is a formidable presence in the wilderness, its imposing structures casting long shadows over the rugged terrain. The air is filled with a sense of foreboding, as if the very trees themselves whisper warnings to any who dare to approach. Despite the desolation that now permeates the area, the military base remains a place of intrigue and danger. As the pilot stumbled away from the crash site, his mind raced with the realization that he was now stranded in the wilderness. With no means of communication and limited supplies, he knew that his chances of survival were slim. Nevertheless, the pilot's determination burned fiercely within him. For days, he navigated the harsh terrain, battling hunger, thirst, and the ever-present threat of the infected. Each step was a struggle, but Alexei refused to succumb to despair. He scavenged for food and water, evading danger at every turn. His survival instincts were honed by years of experience, and he relied on them to stay one step ahead of the danger bears and wolves that lurked in the shadows. Despite the odds stacked against him, Alexei refused to give up hope. He knew that somewhere out there, his comrades were counting on him. With unwavering resolve, he pressed on, driven by the unyielding spirit of survival. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Alexei made it to his camp by the lake. His friends welcomed him with open arms, recognizing the bravery and resilience that had allowed him to endure against all odds. After a few weeks, Alexei managed to find the parts he needed, took the heli's key, and started the journey back to his helicopter. Last time he called on the radio, he, as described, was at some military base on his route, which overlooks a series of winding roads and valleys, providing a vantage point that allows for surveillance. He was heavily wounded in a fight with a group of armed men, dressed in black uniforms, but managed to hide from them. He said if he couldn't make it, he would bury this key at this location. Survivors, check carefully all info provided and try to find the key in the helicopter. If you manage to get it work, you may take it for yourself.